I'm a 3D artist, and in this video, I redesigned some of the Minecraft mobs that never actually made it into the game. What I came up with was pretty insane. Throughout Minecraft's history, there have been plans to add all sorts of weird stuff that either got removed or was never added in the first place. Some of these are really well known, and some not so much. But the most famous of these incidents by far was the mob vote, one in 2017 and one in 2020. Mojang came up with several ideas for new mobs and gave fans the ability to vote one, but only one of them into the game, which I'm sure is a great idea that will cause absolutely no problems whatsoever. You see, from Mojang's perspective, the problem with making a Minecraft mob is the other Minecraft mob. These two votes have caused so much fighting, it's kind of sad. So today, let's explore what these mobs could have been, and if you know one of them I didn't think about, feel free to let me know. The first forgotten mob I wanted to redesign had no official name, only known as the Great Hunger. It's described as a subterranean lizard-like creature that consumes pretty much everything with its giant mouth. And you guys picked the flying rug? There's so much potential for the design, but maybe it struck people as a little basic from the drawing. When I think about an underground, all-consuming monster, I'm thinking of the movie Tremors, not Trapinch from Pokemon, so that's pretty much exactly what I made. I started making the form factor for the worm shape, which ended up really wide, and after a few adjustments, I settled on the shape you see here. I'm not sure what prompted this, but I thought it would look pretty cool with fins, and that ended up changing the entire direction of the project. Next was the mouth. It could either open one or two ways, and I settled on just one for the time being. I added some jagged details to the jaws to make it look a little more complex. This could either be done with 3D or 2D shapes, but as we learned from the Elder Guardian design, it's probably more realistic for Minecraft for it to be 2D. I gave the back fin a unique shape and looked at what I made so far, and that's when I realized I didn't make a worm. I made a shark. I added a few more fins around the top, and the model's starting to come together. All that's left is texturing. I started the texture with a red sandstone base with a sand-flavored camouflage on top. The back fin is sandstone, but the top one is still sand. This would help players who are paying attention to be more likely to see it. Finally, I put a few rows of teeth on the mouth, and here's what I made. I call it this sand shark. It would spawn in the desert and be attracted to seismic waves, just like the warden boss, which I redesigned earlier. When it attacks, it swims through the ground, just jumps out like a dolphin, and just engulfs whatever made the noise. Or you could drop TNT on the ground and it would just jump out and eat it. Kind of like the one from Zelda, except, you know, more squares. And speaking of squares, real quickly guys, today's video is partnered with Squarespace, the best place for designing websites. They've got tons of premium templates so you can effortlessly turn your website idea into reality.
Oh wow, I can't wait to build my first website. I'm sure it will be very easy and simple and nothing will go wrong.
Thankfully, Squarespace makes it all very simple. You can automatically link your social media posts, it can automatically resize images to fit the screens they appear on. There's so much stuff you don't have to do. It's basically a Tesla website, it just builds itself at this point. They really focus on simplicity, which is really useful if you're trying to focus on the design and not just learning how to use it the entire time. If you need a website, you need Squarespace. They really streamline the process of building it and help you get past the stuff that you really shouldn't need to worry about. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/DanielCraft to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Definitely go check that out, but let's get back to Minecraft. Before we design more Minecraft mobs, we need to know more about the ones that got rejected. In the last mob vote, there were two in particular. The first was the Moo Bloom, a cow that grows flowers on its back, kind of like the Moo Shroom, which grows mushrooms. Second was the Iceologer, a wizard that would be able to conjure up ice boulders. The mob that ended up winning was the Glow Squid, which doesn't actually glow, but I'm sure that people are absolutely fine with that and not going to cause any argument. As sad as it is, it kind of makes me look forward to the next one if we're being transparent here. I can already imagine some pretty cool redesigns of these two, but for this video, I want to focus on the previous mob vote, specifically the monster of the ocean depths. It would have spawned in the deep ocean and used a giant tongue to pull players down in the deep. I need to stop making that joke. It also had these massive jaws that it would use to swim around, and somehow was the first one eliminated, only getting 23% of the votes. The ocean was kind of empty at the time, so it made sense they would offer a sea creature, but something not a lot of people know about is if you zoom in on the drawing, you can actually see it says subscribe to me. That's so nice of them to put. My initial idea was to make a squid, but I already redesigned the glow squid earlier, so I had to be creative about this. I thought about a few possible designs when I happened upon a jellyfish. A Minecraft jellyfish jellyfish would be cool, but how would they even work? Real jellyfish move in a very organic way, something that usually doesn't translate well to Minecraft. It would be irrational to try to translate such flowing movement like this into a block game, but fortunately, I do happen to be very rational, so let's make this happen. The main thing I noticed about the jellyfish movement is the bell tends to squash and stretch to create its movement, and although there isn't any examples of parts scaling up and down in existing Minecraft mobs, what if we had multiple parts that moved like this? This ended up being the driving mechanism behind the movement, and I even added a third part for extra detail. Real jellyfish have tentacles for stinging their food and also arms to pull them in to eat, kind of like how the tongue works in the original concept. I added tentacles and animated them to match the rhythm of the bell movement. Finally, I added the arm placeholders, and it's looking pretty good for a couple of blocks. I decided to solidify the tentacles to more closely match how Minecraft usually makes something like this, and finally it's time for texturing. I went for a pink and white theme, but the main difference here is that some parts are partially transparent and some parts also glow. This would help them stand out in the ocean and would also look really cool. Maybe it doesn't match the original concept entirely, but it's pretty close if you look at it, and anyone who's been stung by one of these knows it's the real monster of the ocean deep. If these ended up in the game, they'd probably be pretty large and try to pull players out of the water, even out of boats, and apply some kind of paralysis effect. But that's just speculation. Without further ado, here are the 2 mobs that I redesigned this week.